And the people that suffer the most are not these guys that are making these policies. Understand this. They're not the ones that suffer. It's first and foremost people that are dirt poor in third world nations that can already not afford to eat. And then it's followed up the socioeconomic ladder. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what. I almost fell off my chair when I read this. And I know that this story is not going to be told on the mainstream media. And I hope that I am proven wrong. But you have to listen to this because this person right here, I do not like this person at all. Not at all. Right? I'm going to give you my opinion, and this is my opinion alone. I believe this person is the CEO of one of the most criminal organizations that there is in the world. Right? An organization which has been caught red-handed several times. Now remember, this is all my opinion, but you can look it up. Has been caught red-handed several times committing financial felonies. And in those cases where some people did go to jail, it was never the people that should have gone to jail. Right? They have been manipulating markets, especially the silver and the gold market, for years. It's been proven that they've done it, and no one that really counts has gone to jail for it. Only the low-level minions have. However, when I read this, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this person is saying this. And I actually agree with what he's saying. And I've always said that truth is truth, no matter who speaks it. Whether you like someone or not, if they speak the truth, then that's the truth, whether you like them or not. So you have to make sure that you can distinguish between liking someone and actually listening to what they say and acknowledging that if what they're saying is true, that it is true. I'm not going to read this verbatim, but I'm going to go ahead and skim through it so that you can see this is something that I've been talking about for a while. I know that this is probably premature being happy about this. But I am so happy that someone at the level that this person is in is actually saying it. And like I said, you probably won't hear this in mainstream media whatsoever. But here this person says that this is a blanking war and slams this energy policy and says that investors don't give a poop about ESG, environmental, social governance, which is just part of SDG, which is governed by the United Nations, an unelected body. I get very excited and I'm very passionate about talking about this because this, ladies and gentlemen, is what's going to lead us down the road of a social credit system all the way down to the personal level. They've already started it with the banks. You can actually get online and look at banks that have an ESG score and look at what banks actually have ESG scores and are going by this system that is set by the United Nations. Now, for those of you that don't know, what is this system? Well, it's a set of rules that is supposed to improve the environment, the social standing of the world, and the governance of the world as far as environment and social standings go. That's how I understand it, and I believe that that is correct. For the most part, I would say. Because remember, I'm not very well spoken, but you can get where I'm coming from. So, for example, let's say that there's a company in the United States, here where we live, and it's really anywhere, because they're trying to make this worldwide. But let's say that there's a company in the United States, and they're like, wow, you know, we're having an energy shortage right now. We're having an energy crisis. We have the ability and the expertise to actually go out there and procure more natural gas. And that will help the American people and will actually help the world because the more natural gas that there is in the market, the lower the price is going to be for everyone. Especially it will help the poor. Those people that can't afford it right now. It will help them the most. Well, in order for them to get funding, they're going to have to go to a bank, right? And a bank looks at them and says, I don't think we're going to go ahead and invest in your project, i.e. we're not going to give you a loan because natural gas, well, it's not good for the environment. That's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. And now, if one company gets caught doing business with another company that has a lower ESG rating, then guess what happens to that company? Their rating goes down as well. So it's kind of like a tattletale system, but not, where you're guilty by association just for trying to run a business. And this will eventually work its way all the way down to the personal level. And that's what got me so excited when I saw that Mr. Dimon here, and I'm going to call him Mr. Dimon in this one instance, that Mr. Dimon here is saying this ESG stuff is nothing but crap. So let me go ahead and read on a little bit of what he said. So here in a meeting, he was talking about how the market is going to go down even further than what it is now, and how we may be entering into a stagflationary period. For those of you that don't know what stagflation is, it's kind of like combining the worst of two worlds. It's combining recession, which means that it's a downturn in the economy, with inflation. So at the same time that we're getting high inflation, we're also going to get a recession, which is a downturn in the economy, and people losing their jobs, losing their homes, all these businesses shutting down, is what I've been talking about for a while. Well, he says, I don't know if it could be a soft landing. I don't think so, but it might. The JP Morgan chief executive officer said in an industry conference in Washington on Thursday, adding that the alternative would be a mild or severe recession. In a tough recession, you would expect the market to go down 20 to 30%, adding an additional 10% to the number he first floated on Monday. Ladies and gentlemen, the market's already down around 20%, I think, so we're not very far from that. And my personal opinion is that we're going to go a lot farther from that. We're not hitting a recession. We are in a recession right now, in my opinion, and we will be entering into a worldwide depression. Why? Because central banks, no matter where you look in the world, central banks are stuck. They can only go one of two ways, and both ways is really bad for their country and the world at hand. And it goes on to say, it got worse. Besides predicting a hard landing and a 30% crash, the CEO of the largest U.S. bank also said his gut tells him that the Fed funds rate will probably have to rise higher than the 4% to 4.5% level many economists are predicting as inflation persists. Now, I'm sure that you already know that, I believe it was yesterday, that we got our CPI numbers and they were not good. All right. I don't know what happened. The miracle on Wall Street that happened yesterday, where I think the Dow went up like 800 points. At one time, it was down like negative 500 and something. And then it ended the day at positive 800 and something. I don't know what miracle happened then. But ladies and gentlemen, people are going to get stuck holding the bag. And those people that will get stuck holding the bag because they think that maybe we're pivoting upward, they're going to be the people that can least afford to get stuck holding the bags. They will be the pensioners. They will be the working class, the people that actually work for a living instead of letting assets make them their money for them. And they say that still, Dimon said he has total faith and trust in Fed Chair Jay Powell, and that stagflation is far worse than most of the other potential outcomes as the Fed works to cool price pressures. Now, I believe that we are already in stagflation because, as you can see, inflation has persisted for a while now. And at the same time, I believe that we are in a recession. We are definitely in what is called a technical recession before they changed what a recession is, before they changed the definition. So we are definitely in a technical recession, right? Where 2 quarters, we have negative GDP for 2 consecutive quarters. All right, so I believe that we are in a recession in addition to high inflation. That equals stagflation. I believe we're already there. I think the next step is going to be depression. And here they say that in a separate and far more provocative comments made earlier in the day during the JP Morgan Investor Seminar, where he led a fireside chat moderated by JP Morgan's Gurgana Thiel, what a name, eh? Dimon made some extraordinary outspoken comments, which, however, you won't hear on the mainstream media, telling a small group of listeners that was closed to the press that the President of the United States needs to stand up and say we may not meet our 2050 climate objectives because this is a blanking war. So he is there stating exactly the opposite of what this ESG agenda is, which is to meet the 2050 climate objectives, no matter what, no matter who suffers, no matter how much fuel they have to get rid of. This is why they've been getting rid of all this fuel. This is why they've been, doing sanctions. I've said in the past that nothing happens by coincidence and that things are planned. These people want to meet their goals of less whatever it is in the air on your backs, on our backs. And the people that suffer the most are not these guys that are making these policies. Understand this. They're not the ones that suffer. It's first and foremost people that are dirt poor in third world nations that can already not afford to eat. And then it's followed up the socioeconomic ladder. Then it's followed up by those people that are on assistance. Then it's followed up by those people that are just living paycheck to paycheck. Then it's followed up by those people that are maybe in the upper middle class and now have to be lowered in their class and their standard of living because now they have to pay 2, 3, 4 times more for their energy than what they were in the past. Take a look at the EU, where the price of energy has doubled, quadrupled, 10 times more in some cases than what they normally use. You have to understand that we have an entity that was never elected by anyone in the world, by anyone, telling companies that pretty much run the world what to do. And it is you, the common folk, that are paying for it. He also said, time to stop going hat in hand to Venezuela and Saudi and start pumping more oil and gas in the United States. Hallelujah! And that's why I said you will never hear this in the mainstream media. I'll say it again. He also said, quote, time to stop going hand in hand to Venezuela and Saudi Arabia and start pumping more oil and gas in the United States of America. Echoing what he has said before, Jamie said that energy independence is how the United States maintains its standing as the future of the world is pumping more oil and gas and using energy security to ensure Western unity. And he did say that when it comes to ESG, investors do not give a poop, warning not to cede governance to do-gooders' kids on a committee. Now again, I believe that this person, personally, my opinion again, is evil. I believe that this person does not have the best interests of the American people or anyone else. He only has the best interests of his profits, what he gets paid, and what his company makes, and whatever his overlords tell him to do. Finally, he stressed the need for strong American leadership. I'll leave it at that. Ladies and gentlemen, this ESG thing is going to destroy the world. It is going to destroy our standard of living, and eventually it will enslave all of us. We have to all know what this is about. We have to all understand where it's coming from, and we all have to understand as well where it will lead us to. ESG, in my opinion, is the devil. And everything that I've said on this video is 100% my opinion, 100%. Having said that, I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend ahead. And thank you very much to every one of you for joining in on our live stream. We had a great time like we always do. God bless every one of you. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place. And you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I am out.